Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am Eric. This is a new series I want to work on, Lost and Forgotten. Episode 1 is going to cover the U.S. Steel Alantic City Mine Railroad in Wyoming. The railroad ran from Winton Junction, 10 miles north of Rock Springs, to Alantic City, a total of 76.7 miles, one of the longest industrial railroads in the U.S. The railroad ran to the north, following Killpecker Creek, up to the namesake Sand Dunes, past White Mountain, and the petroglyphs. This old right-of-way and bridge is about halfway up the valley. It crosses the Killpecker Creek. It's a lot more modern bridge than what I was expecting. I guess it was built in the 1960s, but I'm surprised it's made out of steel. An old railroad and wild horses. Not a bad afternoon. I was thinking about all the wildlife that the train crews got to see in this remote, desolate part of Wyoming. The rock formation is called a Boar's Tusk. It's part of an ancient volcano, very similar in structure to Devil's Tower, just on a lot smaller scale. The old roadbed is one of the few roads through the sand dunes. It actually separates two different wilderness study areas, one to the east and one to the west. So even to this day, this railroad makes a mark on the map. The Killpecker Sand Dunes runs for 55 miles from west to east and is one of the largest active dune fields in the country. The railroad stayed west of the most active dunes. Looking back at the steep climb out of the valley floor, it looks like the railroad went straight on forever. The railroad went straight north through the sand dunes. This is where I turn around due to sand and time. Looking north, the Wind River Mountains are in the distance. They're the tallest mountains in the state of Wyoming. The railroad followed Pacific Creek up to South Pass, 7,412 feet above sea level, and crossed the mountains within yards of the Oregon Trail. Being a remote railroad, it was not very well photographed. Most of the photos I found is from South Pass. The railroad then crossed the Sweetwater River and went up to the historic mining town of South Pass City, and then on to the mine at Alantic City. This is the most beautiful part of the whole railroad. In the 1950s, U.S. Steel was worried about a potential attack from the Soviet Union and wanted a remote location far inland for mineral rights. They started construction of the railroad and the mine in 1960. The Union Pacific Railroad done the surveying and engineering work for them. After exchanging with the Union Pacific in Rock Springs, the iron ore will be shipped to Geneva Steelworks in Utah. Total of 300 miles. Early on in 1983, U.S. Steel decided it was no longer financially feasible to continue operations at the Alantic City mine. It was expensive to operate, and so was the railroad. In October of '83, they closed the mine, and the last train left on October 20th. They abandoned the railroad in 1985. There's no shop buildings, track. They never owned any stations. Only thing left now is a scar on the landscape. I can only find one video about this railroad. RJ filmed a work train back in 1983. Just like all the photos, it doesn't belong to me. This railroad is gone before I was even born. I have a link down below for his full video. That is just a short clip of it. please check out the full video. He has some other great videos as well. That is history of U.S. Steel, Alantic City Mine Railroad that operated in Wyoming for 21 years. Thank you for watching. Until next time.